Hi, in this video I'm going to read to you the financial horror story entitled The Dark Web Spider. It's covered on page 177 of Swiss Frankenstein Financial Horror Stories. The Dark Web Spider. It had not been a great step for the queen of adult entertainment, Sheila was. She already had the names and payment details of countless men, they were mostly men, although not exclusively. More importantly, she knew what they ordered and viewed. What they ordered and viewed was invariably not meant for public consumption, particularly not in combination with their identity and payment information, often credit cards, but also Bitcoin. Sheila was looking to expand her business model, and the golden triangle of identity, payment information, and secret preferences had been appealing for a long time. She knew there was value in there, ready to be unlocked. Data was the new gold, and the dark web had to be mined to mine it, as well as the market in which to market it. 6 months later, Sheila smiled. She was still the queen of adult entertainment, but she had grown her business substantially. Her fishing nets were already filled with data. Her business model was expanding. Many of her customers were no longer just paying for entertainment, but also for privacy. Privacy of being more certain their details would not find their way to the value trigger, as Sheila lovingly referred to it. Those that should not be aware of their preferences, their shopping, their browsing histories. These consisted mostly of wives, employers, and the turbo trigger, the public. Her privacy product had become the most wanted product. She wasn't selling it on her website, of course. She had found a way to offer it anonymously from the dark web. She normally approached her clients by way of an untraceable email in which sensitive details from the golden triangle were disclosed. The email contained an offer to keep those details private. The offer was payable in Bitcoin with some easy instructions on how to make the payment discreetly. The privacy products were in most cases decently priced, usually around double the subscription rates she had already earned from the adult entertainment service. Making the rates too extortionate would increase the risk that she would lose the clients in her entertainment business and they would move elsewhere. They usually accepted some risk of losing data to hackers and were loyal to her as long as it was not getting too expensive. She smiled at the thought of just cross-selling. 1 year later, Sheila's Bitcoin balance had skyrocketed thanks to the great sale of privacy product. It was great. But the balance was hard to convert into normal money without raising suspicion. She decided to keep the balance and see if she could use it rather than converting it into normal money. She did not have any immediate financial needs anyway that required the amount of funds, and Bitcoin had been doing well in value. Sheila's business-oriented mind soon found a way to put the Bitcoin balance to work. Her venture into the dark web had made it quite clear the underground web was a profitable place to be. Of course, the lack of rules, anonymity, you could do anything, sell anything to anybody. But the underground world needed money as well. Money that was largely originated from the upper world. Investment return and sales proceeds paid in Bitcoin were gaining traction, but were probably not very significant overall. What if that would change? What if you become a Bitcoin banker, the Bitcoin banker? What if you would find the dark web ventures with her excess Bitcoin balance? With other dark web investors as well, perhaps? It did not take long for her to set up Bitcoin feeder funds. Not the kind that were classic investment companies or funds that were traded on stock exchanges. Oh no. They were little more than parts of Sheila's own Bitcoin balance, allocated by Sheila into sub-accounts for different purposes. She had started off with one feeder fund that was closest to her heart and experience, being aimed at funding adult entertainment on the dark web. She soon ventured into other feeder funds covering drug finance, weapons finance, illegal activities finance, sanctioned activities finance, and more. She made a point of being an even more reliable investment manager, especially because her investors would not rely on legal comfort or a trusted relationship with someone you know the identity of. Being trusted and staying trusted on the dark web required reliable performance more than anything. The returns on her Bitcoin investments were mostly good or very good. 1 year and 4 months later. Sourcing borrowers on the dark web was entirely different relationship management activity. The funds became known through chat comments left there by Sheila herself. She posted as a perceived happy customer. Soon she was offering loans to dark web entrepreneurs against collateral that was different from your typical collateral. No mortgage on the entrepreneur's home, no pledge or other security over his car, none of that would work, of course. Two other types of payment security could work relatively effectively in an anonymous market, Sheila thought. One was a requirement Sheila imposed on her borrowers. She would need to route all their own Bitcoin sales proceeds through Sheila, who would normally get repaid from them. The other form of security was a piece of sensitive personal information about the entrepreneur that the entrepreneur would not like to see going public. Sheila was expecting these two forms of security to give her a certain control over the behavior of her borrowers. 2 years later. Sheila was right. Her business model worked. Her investors and financing of dark web entrepreneurs made her grow her Bitcoin balance even more. Interest rates she charged were very high and she got away with them. The dark web was a profitable place. No wonder illegal stuff sells. The total amount of turnover had reached more than $1 billion equivalent in Bitcoin meanwhile. Just over a year into the venture. Drugs, weapons, adult entertainment, sanctioned people and companies. She knew she needed more capital to grow even bigger to meet her financial needs. Much more. But the dark web was not exactly the place where one would raise capital from investors after publishing a prospectus with all relevant information in it they would care about to make the investments. Dark web investors would have to care less. As long as the investment pays off, she would need to have her alter ego, one that she could use to build trust. Even dark web investors would need to build trust. She decided she would call herself the dark web spider. It sounded like a name that would have a connotation of someone who is a spider in the web, knows it all, maneuvers around well, in short, can be trusted, insofar as anyone can be trusted on the dark web. Less than 3 years later. The name had become a self-fulfilling prophecy. If she wasn't already a dark web spider, she had now become one. Although there were no statistics or rankings, something that frustrated her at times like this, she knew she had to be the largest Bitcoin banker on the dark web. Without anyone realizing it, without any tombstones for deals won, without being on the cover of Forbes, Fortune or The Banker, she and nobody else determined which illegal products and activities were financed, which illegal desires would be financially supported. Not that she would know more about the persons behind them, that what limited the details of identity and sometimes money flows she received, but still. Her clandestine banking operations on the dark web had grown larger than life due to her funding operation. By her name of dark web spider, she had become capable of attracting an almost exponential growth of Bitcoin balances. Investors soon found out that the dark web spider could be trusted and honored her payment and repayment obligations. In spite of having a limited IT infrastructure and administration, Sheila soon grew larger than many legitimate licensed banks, having total assets exceeding the equivalent of $50 billion. She made the dark web flourish even more. The queen of adult entertainment had become a queen of drugs, weapons, sanctioned activities and more. Sheila was the dark web spider, and she was proud of it.